I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is Prescription for Your Transformation. Real people, real conversations, and real success. And I'm truly delighted today to be talking to an individual that really has become a great friend, a mentor, a coach, but also the beacon for so many other people out there on this planet. Because truly, he embraces all the incredibly important qualities that we all want to master so that we can live a life that, as he calls it, legendary. Because why not? Why not live that legendary life? And so here's a man that embodies all these things in such a wonderful way, with the humility and vulnerability too, to recognize, where he needs to improve so that he becomes an even better teacher for all of us, allowing us to be in that vulnerable place as well, feeling safe and also feeling inspired that we will find the solutions. So Chad, I'm so grateful to be talking to you today. And you've got this incredible program out there, Legendary Lifestyles. And within that, you've mastered the concept of your 7 characteristics of a legendary lifestyle. So I'd like to talk briefly about that. What's your perspective? What are the tools and the resources that you are teaching others so that they can live an amazing life?
Well, I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to be on your program and to be able to share my message with your friends and audience listeners. So let's dive into what I call the 7 characteristics of a legendary life. And before I list those 7 principles, I think it's important, especially in today's world, that we identify where are you getting this from? How did you contrive it? Where did it come from? And I really wish, Bart, that I was able to say, oh, it just, was my genius. What really the evolution is backed in scripture. Okay, so I look back at foundations that have stood the test of time, and I see, does it pass the litmus test of scripture for me? Then I look at the science of that, and that really kind of comes from some areas of Maslow and his hierarchy of needs and understanding the human condition. And then in David Dita, or Dida, however you want to pronounce it, and what he came up with is 6 characteristics. And then I found in that journey that women, one of these in particular, were like, I want that, but it feels like something's wrong as a woman for wanting that doesn't fit. And so that's where I did some further research and really looked at the folklore and the old Disney fables and what goes on throughout all of those characteristics, in particular with women as the leading character in any of those stories. So Rapunzel or Sleeping Beauty, etc. And so that's kind of where it all comes from, and then just test the crap out of it and see, can you poke holes in it? Does it fall short? And luckily and thankfully, it's actually stood up to every assault, every challenge that's been on there. And so what's really important about those 7 is it's not just something that you apply in one area, but it actually can fit into all facets of your life. So they are, number 1 is mission. Do you have a sense of mission? And today, that's a really important component, because with all the modern advances, with all of our health benefits that we have, we've almost kind of walked into a world of general malaise without a sense of purpose or meaning, which has caused the highest suicide rates in the last 50 or 60 years and just a general depression. And so we need to claim a sense of mission, something that we are going after, almost what was I born for and how do I execute that? The second then is freedom. We all have a need for freedom. And Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, said really the best is, he said, they can take everything from you, but they can't take away your freedom of choice. And once that freedom is gone, the will to survive and live is diminished instantly. Your spirit is destroyed and dissolved. So we need to have a sense of freedom. And then third is love. And we need to serve that mission freely from a place of love. But here's what happens in our lives is we kind of have relationships where it's like, well, I want sex, so I'm going to compromise my mission or that freedom, and I'm going to horse trade so that you get money or material things, and all our needs are met that way. But that's not really serving your mission freely from a place of love. The other is that we have Gunthers out there that are like all mission oriented and quick to draw a sword, and they're lacking love. And then the third is we have a generation of what people call snowflakes, right? Is no mission. They're just people pleasers that will fall for anything because they don't want to be offensive, but they have a tremendous amount of love. And so it's really important that we have all three of those, not just two or not just one. Then on the opposite side, the four, you want to jump in any questions, or should I just
Oh
keep
no,
going?
this is great. Keep on. We'll
Okay,
take the questions till the end.
awesome. All right, so number four in that is adventure. And what I found with the masculine, feminine, or the Far East, yin and yang, or flex and flow kind of thing, is women went, I feel like this draw to mission, but it doesn't quite feel right. It feels like it's wrong. And when I found in the fables that in the feminine, they went off on an adventure. So if we look at the female symbol, it's a circle with a plus at the bottom, meaning energy in all directions. It's callous to a certain extent. It's not really what I want to use as the word because it sounds judgmental. But we've made the feminine, that sense of adventure, wrong when it's not. It's feminine in its purest essence. And it is amazing. And the masculine comes around with a sense of mission to create a framework to protect. You can look at all the fables that there's that element. And so when we have a sense of adventure, that's what we talk about, the spice of life, or Emerald says, kick it up a notch with some spices. But it doesn't have boundaries. It doesn't have logic per sense. It's like, this sounds fun, let's go do it. So we need that balance of mission and adventure. And that's kind of what separated my stuff with Maslow and Dida to make it my own, is that fourth element, adventure. So number five is then feeling safe. And today we need that feeling of safety, assurance of a paycheck, safety of our home, having a roof over our head, etc. So we all need to feel safe. And then number six in that is filling up. We all have a need to fill up. And what's ironic about that is if we're like trying to get love and we're sucking it, it never fills us. Filling up is often something that we actually have to generate. But the misnomer in society and Hollywood is that we have to go get it and bring it in. And the reality is this filling up is something that is often generated, not consumed. So that means contribution beyond ourselves, which is a little bit tricky, and why people keep consuming, and never getting satiated, because we actually need to generate, contribute beyond ourselves. And then lastly is the need to, number seven, speak our truth through love. That means empathy and compassion. So some examples of that in the last election is Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. So our world didn't trust either of them because they both spoke their truth, but it came from a place of judgment. And I would tell you the number one thing that people probably despise about Donald Trump that they don't realize is that he speaks his truth, but it lacks empathy and compassion. It's not about whether he gets results. It's that they feel judged, they feel diminished, they feel superior, inferior. So when we speak our truth through love, then it means that we're actually able to stand behind it, not from judgment, but from empathy and compassion. But don't mistake that that has soft edges. Often speaking your truth through love is going to have sharp edges for the recipient. But because you know that you're there to serve the person rather than judge them, you can stand firmly in your beliefs or in your assessment for them. There's all seven.
I love it, and I've never heard it so well presented ever before. And because, I'm thinking about, as you're describing these seven elements, how often we might find ourselves rudderless, in the middle of the ocean, not knowing where to go, not knowing what references to be looking for. And now you basically have a practical manual to say, okay, great. For me to be my best version of myself, I really need to be addressing all these different things, because love alone isn't enough, or adventure alone isn't enough. And
Yeah.
so I love the way that you've broken this down, because it really gives us that manual that we can now start looking at and very effectively, living a life on purpose. Because as you said, we are all mission oriented. And as Malt said, we are teleological beings. I mean, that extends actually all the way back to the Greek times. We're goal oriented, and we have to have that for a sense of meaning in our life and purpose. But then it needs to be, embraced with all these other things. This is absolutely brilliant.
So here's the thing. I'm going to use this as the example. For those that don't know, this is Ruby Bridges, okay? And Ruby was a brave young African American girl that decided she was going to be able to go to. She said, I know my mission. I'm as equal to any other race that's out there, any other gender, and I have a right to go to any school that I want to. So she was integrated into the white schooling system before it was allowed. So if we look at Ruby as an example, clearly a sense of mission. She freely chose that mission regardless of the danger that it might actually create or present. And she did that from a place of love. She went on a hell of an adventure, you could say. Did she feel safe? No. Until, and this is the thing that people miss about Ruby Bridges, is everybody focuses on Ruby. But what about the 4 white U.S. Marshals that are providing that safety and mission for her? That's what's often missed. So she is able to achieve safety so she can speak her truth through love and fill up because she didn't do it alone. And often we may need some help in providing those 7 and asking for others to assist us along the way. And that's really the opportunity. And so when we look at that, we often forget, hey, there were some white men there, and they helped fulfill that legendary life that she was able to go on and make history with. So that's a great example that we can look at and say, how are we applying the things that we're faced with in our life, our finances, our health, our careers, the economics of the world today, and say, what's missing and how do I actually fill in those gaps?
What's interesting with all of this, because as you're speaking, all of this makes perfect sense. And this is a technology, as I like to put it, that you've also developed, originally, also, with influences from other people. But what I find fascinating, because I've been in this world of personal development and also medicine for quite some time, I'm just astounded, how little we get taught.
Yeah. Um, I think that with that as well, how little we get taught, as well as I was just having a client session yesterday with another client that said, what do you see are my challenges and maybe my blind spots? I said, I'm actually going to offer a different word, because one thing I noticed is you didn't ask what's my greatness? What are my achievements? What's great about my character? And so we can use the word challenge. We can also use the word opportunity. And I've been faced with literally a catastrophic emergency in my business where a keystone in my business, one of my software providers that's the heartbeat in the brains, said, you're done. We're shutting you down for no reason, total goof and error, right? But stopped invoicing, shopping cart, membership program, etc. And of course, that violates my mission. And it certainly, in my initial reaction to it, was a lack of love, and I wanted to speak my truth. But that's where we have an opportunity or challenge. And in that, we have the freedom to choose, Bart. Which one are you going to feed? And choosing opportunity sometimes means, instead of reacting, we need to choose to take a step back and refrain so that we can respond with speaking our truth through love, which they didn't particularly want to receive the sharp edges, but I was able to deliver that from a place of love, speaking my truth. And that allowed me to say, well, I can be prevented, or I can look at this and say, what else can I do? So we were able to pivot, which actually had a lot of gratitude. So today we're faced with, I'm being denied, I'm being denied, I'm being denied. And we also can look at that as, doors are opening, doors are opening, doors are opening. Are you going to live in the effect? Okay, so you got a broken arm. Do you want to talk about how it got broken? Or do you want to say it's an explanation, not an excuse? What am I going to do and generate and pivot successfully? That's how winning is done. That's life.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And it's all about having that ability and knowledge that you can pivot. And as we're wrapping things up here as well, Chad, I want to mention one thing. I trained for 17 years in the medical field, and I had no clue about this whole world of personal development. And that's where I've learned so much. As a physician, I had so much knowledge about healing people, but I had no knowledge about our human lives and just, the whole essence of humanity. And this has been an exciting journey for me. And so I know that you offer opportunities for others. So tell us briefly what people can find with you, where they can find you, and what they can look forward to.
So we're in the pivot process right now. And wow, there we go. So easiest thing is just go to chadecooper.com. E is in Echo, chadecooper.com. And from there, you can really learn about the executive coaching that I do and what areas I specialize in, as well as you can find about the membership program, what's called the Create Your Legendary Life. And that's a program that allows you to take each section of your life and apply 12 modules and principles to elevate to get to that next level. And the reality is, Bart, it used to be super elite and expensive. And I said, it's not meeting the needs of those that can't afford it. So we dropped the price and made it affordable to anyone who's willing to invest in themselves. So take a look at both of those and see if it's a good fit for you.
And the key is, investing in yourselves, and the best investment that you can ever make. It's not in the stock market, it's in yourself. And I realized that many years ago, and I've spent thousands of dollars, and I'm also a member of your program. Really appreciate the dynamic insights and the incredible growth, which has allowed me to make major pivots in my life, and I'm very grateful for you, Chad. So thank you so much.
Love having you in.
And I'll give you the last word.
I have no last word. Wow, that's probably really terrible, but it's like, I hope that here's my last word is, if this is inspiring, great. I'm glad that it served you. What can you do to take away and apply 1 to 3 actions? So make a decision and figure out how you can apply that into your life so that it sticks and actually begins that transformation you're looking for.
Thank you so much, Chad. And just to recap, it's mission, freedom, love, adventure, safety, filling up, and speaking your truth through love. The key elements of a legendary life, all available to you. You just have to bring it into your awareness and get the help and support of incredible human beings like Chad Cooper. I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is Prescription for Your Transformation. Real people, real conversations, and real success. And I will be back again talking with Chad on some incredibly insightful topics that you're going to want to hear about. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Dr. Rademaker's Prescription for Your Transformation. Continue the path towards discovering your own authentic genius by tuning in next time for more real conversations with real people.